my friends, welcome back to RC Rugged Road. So I am planning out my lava trails and things like that. You can see where the red is. Over on the left you might see some orange. That's kind of going to be like some cracks in the ground where the lava is spilling through as well, like on the first lava scene I did, you see in the background. So anyway, all I'm doing is getting some black on here, as well as planning out the canyons with some red. I will be putting some plaster of Paris in there, mixing that to a consistency that will allow it to kind of run down some of that and then harden. That's the way I got the cool effects on the last piece, so I'm going to stick with that. I did want to briefly touch on something I had said in previous videos, where I said that I put a black coat under the plaster cloth, like on the foam, to keep it from shining through. I did learn that depending on the brand you use, you may not have to do that because you're going to end up having to cover it again anyway. And here's what I'm saying. So the brand that I bought at Hobby Lobby, you can see spots. If you look here on the left side, you see the black shining through. It's a little more porous. It doesn't have as much of the plaster on it, I guess you would say. And then the brand that I bought on Amazon, you see how white a lot of that is at the bottom. It has so much of the plaster on it. It almost feels silky, but almost too much. It's just like really goopy, sticks to your hands kind of thing. So I do think I prefer the Hobby Lobby brand. It's a little more stiff, and it just, like I said, it doesn't coat your hands so much that you can't function. So anyway, if you buy the Hobby Lobby brand, you may still want to put the black undercoating. If you buy off Amazon, you may not want to worry about it because it's causing like solid white areas anyway, not as many holes. Down through here you can see where I used some of the Amazon brand. Anyways, I'm going to show you the back of this thing as well, and we'll touch base on that in just a moment. Here's the back of it. As you can see, I did put plaster cloth. Now, that's a personal choice. Some guys, because it won't be seen, it'll be against the wall, or like it's a waste of time, it's a waste of plaster cloth. But I am a perfectionist, so to speak. Not that it has to be perfect, but I need some uniformity to it in the back. I can't stand knowing that the boxes are just got gaps and sticking out. Again, that's just a personal thing. It's like an OCD. But I did go ahead and do that. You can see at the bottom there, the hole where I've got wires and stuff. That's for all my lighting. You can see the one trailing down. That's for the top piece lighting. Anyway, I just want to touch base with you, show you guys where I'm at this point. From here, I will be painting the back of this black again. You can see black shining through, so I'm glad that I painted all those boxes black. I didn't shoot that in a video, but yeah, I painted all the boxes black before putting this on there. Again, the Hobby Lobby brand, you can see the black shining through. Amazon, it's just solid white down through here. So again, it just depends on what brand you use, and that's a personal preference. So just want to give you that little bit of tidbit of information so you don't waste paint or plaster cloth, whatever. Anyways, get with you again in just a bit. Alright, so earlier I showed you where I had planned out the little canyons that the lava carved as it goes down the volcano or mountainside. Now I've actually begun to do it. I've just begun the painting. There's still a lot to do, detail works, bringing out brighter yellows, some reds around the edges, things like that. But here you can see the canyons now have plaster in them. So I took plaster of Paris, and you can go by the directions as far as mixing, but I didn't. In some areas I made it thinner than it's supposed to be. That way it would simply flow down the hill and leave a natural look, just like lava would do, like it's flowing. While doing this, I got some ideas as far as other texture and decided, you know, in my last section, the one behind this, I've been driving on the plaster and everything else with my rock crawlers, and decided that the plaster is holding up very well, especially if you Mod Podge the top, give it kind of like a hard sealer. So I decided I wanted to not only do plaster lava, but also some plaster rocks using the Woodland Scenics rock molds. I'm going to take you over to the table and show you how that's going so far. Right, here we are at the table. Now this is a Woodland Scenic rock mold here, reusable. You simply can take your plaster of Paris, put it in here, let it harden, and then peel it out and paint it. So if you read the directions, it says to use some wet water. That sounds funny, I know, I had to look it up. So it's just like a cup of water with 2 drops of liquid hand soap, and it'll help it keep from sticking to this so much. But you know, I used foam rocks before simply because I thought that with the crawlers going over it that they would hold up and things, and I was worried about these plaster rocks breaking off. But I think as long as after I paint it, I put some Mod Podge on there to give it kind of like an outer sealer and hardener on the outside, I should be okay, because like I said earlier, my lava has been holding up. So this is one that I've already made some rocks out of. I'll give you an example. So here's one here, and you can see it's still just the plaster color on the back. But I painted this. It's going to look kind of like cooling lava, okay? And I will place it in areas where like the lava has a bend in it or things like that. But this is supposed to look like it was, you know, heated up rock, and it's still got some magma on it, cooling, things like that. And again, there's 3 different sizes in this one, so here's another one. And I got to thinking, it's thin right here, so if I wanted variety, I could probably break it off before I paint it and Mod Podge it. And then I just, you know, again, I'm not an artist. I just kind of look at pictures and try to figure out how it'd look best to be cooling magma or rocks that had got heated up by the lava and are now cooling. And then there was one final size on that, which is this one here. I'm also going to be able to use rock going up like I have flat spots, and I was talking about adding texture. I'm going to put this on there. So let me show you this other rock mold I bought. Now this one's going to give me some new sizes. Just got it today. I'm excited. Again, Woodland Scenics, and this one is called the Outcroppings. This first one was called Random Rocks. So these have some bigger ones. This will give me some nice variety sizes to where I can have them going up where the crawlers will actually drive in the main areas, to have these protruding from the ground and giving me some terrain to crawl over. I think this is going to work out well. And again, when you do dioramas for like trains and stuff, these are great. They're detailed, but most of the time they're up on a hillside where the train's driving past. So not too many people have tried actually driving over these plaster rocks. If you have, congratulations. I hope it worked for you, and I'm going to give it a whirl as well, just so you guys out there know if it's practical or not, or if you should just, you know, do your foam rocks or just leave the terrain from the spray foam. All right, so you may be asking, all right, Brian, great. You're going to put this on there. But how are you going to do that? Okay, first you got to try to make sure it's perfectly level, and how's it going to stick? Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hot glue on there first, just to hold it in place. And then I bought what's called Sculptamold. Now again, people who do railroad dioramas know what this stuff is, and some of you other people out there, especially old heads, know Sculptamold's an older product. It's great. It's a unique blend though. It has like clay, plaster, and some kind of like tissue in it or whatever. If I'm wrong about that, feel free to correct me. I kind of have a general idea of what it is. But this Sculptamold is highly recommended. I've read a lot of reviews on it. And so what I'll do is I'll mix this up after I have my rocks placed. I'll build this around it. It kind of looks like terrain as well. I can make it look like, you know, where the ground has eroded around it and left this protruding up. These outcroppings are more designed for that, so that's probably what these will be. And then I'll place these maybe up on the ledges or the side of the hills, things like that. Anyways, keep watching to find out how this works out. And again, we'll do some driving demos later, hopefully, to show you, you know, that they do hold up. Again, that Mod Podge on there is just a clear sealer, and it does keep it kind of hard. So guys, let's see how this turns out. Here we are with the next stage. So I took those plaster rock molds, painted them up as I showed you in the last segment, and now I've just hot glued them, you know, kind of testing out the areas. Prior to putting these rocks on the course, I did run several of my crawlers to see which ones, you know, needed help with maybe a little bumper rock to keep it from sliding off an edge, etc. This area over here on the left, you can see the laser pointer coming up through here. I wanted to leave it as a challenge. My Mia's crawler did the best, but even the back tires, when it got up here, started sliding off this edge. So you can see I put a buffer there, that rock to kind of, and this one here to try to keep the wheels from sliding off the edge too much. My cat's watching the laser pointer, so if y'all see a cat jump up there, that's why. Yep, and she's going over and investigate. You can't see her, but she's right below the course. Anyway, also, I put some right here in the bottom, that area there, because coming up through here they would be kind of sideways, and these wheels as I'm trying to go up would kind of slide off this edge here. So I have these buffer rocks here. So it's just a matter of kind of playing around with your course, testing each vehicle. You know, if you want to leave some challenge, don't give it too much assistance, but you may need a little bit. When your best crawler can't do something, it's time to consider a little bit of assistance. So anyway, I'm making up some more plaster rocks that I'll get painted up. I had all these made up, but decided I need more. I mean, I've got too many plain areas here on the right. I'd like to add some rocks, some here on the left, you know, give it a little terrain there. When I get this batch of rocks done next, I will look for any more assistance needed rocks, you know, to give them to keep from sliding off ledges, etc. This area along this top ledge here is very narrow for my Endura build. It's got a TRX4M Chevy K10 body on it, but it's got the diamond axles which give it a plus 10, and then I've got some brass hexes on there that are a little wide, so it needed, you know, a little bit of extra help on the ledge to stay up there, but it gives it a challenge. You got to hug that wall as much as possible. I am considering putting a Endura IR60 body on it, which will help lighten it up and things like that. And then I may take those heavier, wider hexes off of there if it gets to be a problem with sliding off the ledge. Anyway, we'll get back with you when we get some more updates. All right, so here we are with the rocks that I showed earlier being hot glued on. I have now added a Sculptamold, which is all of the white. And as you can see, it gets messy. It can kind of mess up your course some, but you know, it'll all, the dust debris will vacuum up, and then just paint over. All of the white will be black, and maybe a little bit of coloration coming off to make it look like it's heated as well, just like on the rocks where I've got some reds, oranges, yellows, etc., with the background being like a deep dark brown with some gray mixed in as it's cooling. The areas that presented the most problems were getting underneath here. You can see that here. As far as consistency goes and methods, okay, let's talk about that for a moment. So you could do this with two different methods of applying it. You can do what I did, hot glue it, and then use the Sculptamold around it. I found that to be a little bit difficult. So the next time I'm going to try to put my Sculptamold on there and just push the rock into it. You just have to decide which method is best for you and your application on your diorama course, whatever. Some people say make it to the consistency, the Sculptamold consistency of oatmeal. Some say cottage cheese. I found what worked best for me was a wet cottage cheese, because the thicker, I end up wasting some. So make small batches, especially your very first time using it. Do a small batch and just kind of eyeball the consistency that works best for you for the amount of time you have allotted to apply it. Getting around underneath these things here presented a little bit of problem with it being a little more wet. So what I did was the ones that I hadn't done with the first batch, I applied to the tops of these things, and then once it kind of thickened up, started drying out, then I put it underneath, because then it would stay put better. Anyway, it's just trial and error. Again, this is my first time ever using Sculptamold. It's a learning experience. I did get a little bit of the white residue on there, and I just took like a paintbrush and brushed it off. This one right here looks really good, got it good and clean. This one still has some debris on there, which I can clean that up or just paint over what I need to and reapply my Mod Podge. This can kind of make you feel a little panicky. You're like, oh no, I'm messing up my hard work. I recommend, if you have a lot of intricate painting, such as these flames, I would not paint those until you do this step here, adding your Sculptamold, because as you see, the mess will run down and things like that. But this was just a base black paint, so all I've got to do is just go right back over it with the base black. It's no big deal. And then, like I said, if I want to, I can add coloration around the edges of each rock to make it look like not only the rock is hot, but the ground around it. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to some of you guys. Again, trial and error. Try the consistency that works best for you, but do start off with small batches. I hated, with the price of Sculptamold, I hate to throw any away, and I had to throw a little bit away because it got too hard too fast. Hope this helps, and we will continue this adventure. All right, so here we are with the completed Volcano Addition. I hope you like. You'll see some added detail since the last segment in my video here. I did add some detail while forgetting to add the video footage. I do apologize for that, but we'll take a closer look at that here in just a few minutes. We'll take the camera and we'll get a good look at it and show you some more of that detail, how I did it, what I added, why I added it, etc. I did go ahead and put an Axial SCX24 Jeep JLU Wrangler, which is a 1/24 scale on there, and facing it there is the Mias on the TRX4M chassis. It's a 1/18 scale. They're there on the beam bridge to show that both scales can use this course. Of course, now with the 1/18 scale being larger, some of these turns are going to be tighter. Up there on the right side of the volcano, there where the shelf is, I'm going to probably add an addition. It'll kind of go up under the shelf just to make it, if you come off that level there, in front of that kind of a cave area there, the second level coming down, to if you want to turn and go up top, it's not quite as tight. Some of you guys don't mind testing those steering servos, backing up, making it as tight as you can, back up a couple of times. But, you know, I want to make it just a little bit more. I enjoy crafting and making new additions, so it just gives me something else to do. Anyway, let's get this camera off the tripod onto a stick and let's take a closer look at this. All right, so here we go. So one thing I wanted to show you guys I added was some cool skulls here in my airsoft BB pit here. This is the lava pit. I painted these skulls. I got these skulls on Amazon. Did my best job to kind of make them look like they're hot and fiery, like they've been down here in this lava. Right now I've only got about 6 of them in there. They're kind of fun to have your wheel spin over with the lava. Here in my pit here in the back, you'll see more of those on these little islands. Just some fun little detail. I am going to look at, like, maybe in this bigger section here, adding a full skeleton or possibly the skeleton of a horse or some kind of dragon or something fun. Again, I like to have fun with my course. Some of you guys are into realism. I like to have some realism with some, also just some fun with it. Anyway, here's those beams I was talking about. As you can see, the Jeep here is riding more on the outside of its tires, like trying to balance on the outside, whereas with these bigger tires and wide, you're riding more on the inside of the tires. But it works. It's more of a challenge. You really have to kind of work it to where you're not falling off with either one of them. I really like that. Let's talk about texture. So at this angle here, coming off here, so I had to add some foam. Here. Okay, that angle was too steep coming off of here, and my trucks would stand straight up. So I add these here to give it a better angle. Now, originally this was just, they just kept spinning or they would stand up. So after adding this, and I added these smaller rocks. Now again, these were some more of the rock molds. You know, I had the bigger ones that I showed you earlier in the video. Well, I went and bought some smaller ones as well. And these are just a lot of fun to use the Plaster of Paris, make your molds, then take your Sculptamold, form them down into it to make it look like it's part of the earth. And it's just kind of eroded around it. Paint them up however you like, you know. I got to add some more paint around the edges here, as you can see. But it's an ongoing project. I just wanted to get this video caught up because I haven't done it in a while. Anyway, let me get to the point that I was trying to make here. So this was just too slick, especially after sealing it with Mod Podge. And I don't use the shiny or slick on this. It was just the matte. However, it was just too slick, even with the Endura tires. So what I did was I mixed Mod Podge, paint, and like some sand. But let me tell you, I made it too much texture. Now they can climb up it with too much ease. What I probably should have done is just like patches, you know, where they can kind of, you know, work and then catch a little grip, move up a little bit, maybe catch a little more grip. I went ahead and put all of this with quite a bit of sand in it. So I'm going to let some of that wear off over time and then not put as much on there the next time, or maybe none at all. Just let it kind of find some here and there, because I put way too much grip here. So now it's a little bit too simple. I mean, every now and then they struggle, but again, for my taste, it's a little too simple. They do struggle coming up here some. We're going to get some crawling video, guys, in. Don't worry about it. I'll get you some crawling footage. I just wanted to get this because this was the building project. So that's why I wanted to get this completed and get it online. I am bad about getting these videos online, and I apologize. I will work at getting better at that. I've just got a lot of stuff going on in life, and I'm sure a lot of you can understand that. Anyway, I did get this course completed. I'm excited about it, and I did want to share that with you. Over here on my old course, this used to not be here, this rock. I had to add that to help, you know, make the transition from this part to this. Over here, added a couple of rocks as well. And here on the side to make this transition. I wanted to be able to have, you know, like free reign to go from each piece. Over there in the corner, I think I mentioned in the other video, added that piece to keep you from falling off the ledge and down into the abyss. But I'm probably going to add Mod Podge. I mean, not sorry, not Mod Podge. Sculptamold to bring that back piece up a little more level with this. And then I may add some kind of scene back there. I've seen some cool little tents like on Temu for like $6 or $7, dudes. And they look just like real tents. And find me like some 3.75-inch action figures or campers or whatever you can find. I forget the name of the vendor that has some that I really like. If I can remember, I'll post it down in the details down there, and some of those that you can put on there that would look really, they're like 18th scale. Now I know that this course isn't actually scale, but maybe the people and that would go with the trucks would be. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to wrap this video up. Just want to let you guys take one last look at this completion here. And then here in a bit, I may enclose the entire course as a whole, how it looks now with this completed volcano on there. I hope you guys enjoy it, and please come back, check in, hit that notification bell. I know I don't post a whole lot, but when I do, I hope you'll enjoy checking it out. And always appreciate you coming in, checking out what I got. Would love your comments. If there's anything you'd like to see added to this course, I'll take it into consideration. And we hope to see you again.